immense pressure now on the US to exert more leverage on Israel, first on the ceasefire front, then on aid. What can Blinken reasonably expect to achieve this time?
Hi, Tom. So, yes, he's back in the Middle East. He'll be in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia today and then in Cairo tomorrow to meet leaders in both places. I think when it comes to Saudi Arabia, no doubt he will want to speak to them about the post-war situation in Gaza, perhaps see if the Saudi Arabians are willing to help fund the reconstruction of the Strip when fighting ends. There is a lot of talk about whether peacekeepers from Arab states are sent into the territory to stabilize it once the most intense phase of fighting is over and there is a permanent ceasefire. And then in Egypt, he will obviously talk about getting aid into the Strip. This is a huge concern for the international community right now, and as you mentioned, there's massive pressure being put on Israel to allow and do more to enable more aid, more humanitarian supplies to get into the Gaza Strip because of the dire situation there when it comes to food distribution. Antony Blinken has said that this is the first time in history a whole territory is effectively facing close to a situation that's not far off a famine and where there's widespread starvation. And Israel is moving on that front, and it does seem to be making a few more concessions towards the US and the international community, and it's very much stating that it's doing even more to ensure supplies get into the Strip.
Paul, we're also getting meetings between US and Israeli officials. What can we expect to come out of those meetings?
This is something that came out of Joe Biden and Benjamin Netanyahu's call on Monday evening. It was their first call in more than a month. And in a sense, they were trying to dial down the tensions that have been rising between them and their countries because of the way Israel is carrying out its offensive in Gaza and the worsening humanitarian situation there. I think a key thing to watch will be this delegation from Israel to Washington, specifically to talk about Israel's planned offensive on Rafah, the city in southern Gaza. We don't know yet who will be in that delegation. We're pretty sure it won't include Netanyahu himself. It seems as if the US wants Israel to cancel those plans, that the US doesn't want an assault on Rafah under any circumstances. It will be very difficult, though, for them to convince Netanyahu and the Israeli government that that's the way to go, because Netanyahu insists, and he insists on a very regular basis in no uncertain terms, that Israel has to go into Rafah. It says that that's the last bastion of Hamas, and there's no way of achieving its goal of destroying Hamas as a military organization unless it sends troops into Israel. So that will, if Israel does decide to go ahead with that plan, that will be a very big point of contention between itself and the US and the rest of the world.